and I'm a nutritionist and a yoga teacher and basically a wellness person that loves to talk about wellness. So today's topic is going to be dark chocolate, green tea, red wine, and all the things that are good about those. So I'm super excited because those are three of my favorite things. And so we're going to kind of talk more in detail about them. And then I have a recipe, maybe two if we have time, where I used tea in one and then I used chocolate and tea in the other. So please, please, please write questions or comments in the chat area, or if there are other topics you'd like to discuss down the road, I would love to get suggestions as well. So please do. And let's get started. So I'm going to start by first saying that the one thing that's in all three of these things are phytochemicals, which are nutrients that are in plants, and it's the nutrients in these plants that protect them from harmful things. And so they also protect us from harmful things. And they have antioxidants and all kinds of good stuff that we're going to go through. So let's start with chocolate because that's a big component of my day. And what did somebody say? Dark chocolate, red wine, and green tea. All you're missing. Oh, yeah, I know. All I'm missing is single malt scotch. I know. That we drink that at home too. Scotch and bourbon. Then that kind of rounds everything out. Well, let's start with the dark chocolate. So to back up a little bit though, the phytochemicals, and I'm going to do a little breakdown of everything, all the good things that are in it. So phytochemicals is the umbrella, and then they're polyphenols, and then there are different kinds of polyphenols. The ones we're going to mostly talk about today are flavonoids. And so chocolate and green tea, red wine, all have these great polyphenols in them. And dark chocolate in particular has flavonoids, and the flavonoid that is really prominent in chocolate is called catechin. And hello, hi Myra, how's it going? So catechin, and this is an antioxidant, which we have discussed in other weeks about how that's so good for us, especially during this time when we're all trying to stay extra healthy. So dark chocolate is really high in catechin, and that's an antioxidant. And this antioxidant, I'm going to go a little bit into what benefits there are from having this particular catechin in our food. But first I'm going to say that, well, actually, no, I'll just go into the benefits. Why not? It has been found to help decrease blood pressure. It's been found to help decrease LDL. And that's the bad cholesterol. So we don't want a lot of high LDL in our body because that does the damage to our arteries and our blood vessels. And so the good thing about the dark chocolate or the cocoa is that it helps reduce that LDL. And it also helps increase the HDL, which is the good cholesterol, which is what we want to increase. And like I said, it lowers our blood pressure. So I did find that there was a study done at Cornell University, and they compared hot chocolate to red wine and green tea and black tea, and they found that hot chocolate had more antioxidants than all three of those beverages, like ounce for ounce. So that was great. So the comparison was that it had 2 times as much antioxidant as red wine, 2 to 3 times as much more than green tea, and 4 to 5 times as much as black tea. So it was a good beverage. I don't know if we should be drinking hot chocolate every day, but I thought that was a pretty interesting finding. And one big thing, though, about having the chocolate is that processing it does make a difference. So we want to have good, pure chocolate. I love dark chocolate. This is so exciting. Oh, good, Emily, thanks. I know, me too. So when we have chocolate, it is best to have the dark chocolate because it is less processed, and milk chocolate is usually, the milk in it is kind of diluting all the good things that are in the dark chocolate. So dark chocolate's best. or cocoa powder, like we talked about a couple weeks ago, putting that in our smoothies is a good thing. Or the cocoa or cacao powder. And if you are having chocolate, like a bar of chocolate, it must be greater than 70% cocoa or cacao. So that's the big number. I'm going to say it a couple more times during this show because that's the important part, is that it's 70% or more. So sometimes, you can find it for 90. I like the 90. I kind of like that bitter flavor, but I know not everybody does. So just keep that in mind, that if you're looking for all the healthy stuff, the antioxidants, the polyphenols, the flavonoids, all that stuff, get cocoa 70% or more. So let's see what else. What else do we have to say about this? So yes, the less processed, the better. So cocoa powder is good, or the chocolate bars, 70% or more. And the recommendation from the dietary guidelines that they put out like every 5 years, the ones from 2015 suggested, if you're going to eat the chocolate for a healthy component of your day, more like a vitamin or something, to just have a small piece of dark chocolate, and that it should be like about 30 calories. So just like a small square is ideal. I know that every once in a while having more than that, or a piece of chocolate cake made with some good chocolate cocoa powder is good too for everybody every once in a while. But if you're going to do it on a daily basis, that's what they say. Small piece. So that's kind of the story on dark chocolate. So moving on to green tea, I have been drinking some green tea this afternoon. I kind of switched over to green tea in the afternoon. I used to have coffee in the afternoon, but coffee in the morning now, green tea in the afternoon. It's kind of like a little bit calmer. Oh, hi, Kelly. What did you say? Is cacao rich in antioxidants as cocoa powder for a hot chocolate? Is cacao as rich in antioxidants? Oh, yeah. Yeah, it is. From what I understand, I'll have to double check on that, but I do think that cacao powder might be even higher because it hasn't been processed. Cocoa powder has been processed a little bit more. It's gone through a sort of heat treatment, but the cacao has not. So I would say that would be ideal. So hot chocolate is really delicious, even on like chilly spring afternoons like today. Thanks for the question, Kelly. Okay, so green tea. So green tea, just in general, green tea versus black tea, the difference is black tea has been fermented and green tea is the younger leaf and less processed and has more antioxidants than the black tea because of that, because it's young. And then we talked 2 weeks ago during the smoothie class, or the smoothie show, we talked about the difference between tea leaves and matcha tea. So matcha tea is green tea, but it has been dried and then ground into a powder, and you're actually consuming the green tea. You're actually consuming the leaves when you either drink it or put it in something. And so it has more of the antioxidants rather than just drinking a bag of green tea or loose green tea. But they're both good. Matcha has more caffeine though too. So I found the first time I had matcha, I was like, whoa, I feel kind of amped. But it is still, it's great. And it's a good, 2 of our recipes we're going to do today have matcha tea powder. And actually I'll show you a little bit of it now. It's kind of hard to see. Can you see the powder? I got this at Trader Joe's, but you can get it I used to buy it at an Asian grocery store as well, but there are a lot of places you can find it, tea shops. But yeah, Trader Joe's does have it, so that was kind of nice. Green tea, also high in catechins. And I'm going to go through a couple of benefits as well that you get from the green tea. So it also may decrease LDL, the bad cholesterol, and it also helps decrease inflammation in our body, which is good for our heart and just good for our digestion and well-being, but mostly it's good for our heart because it decreases all that plaque buildup that can happen, from eating like a diet that's high in saturated fat or cholesterol. So it helps decrease inflammation, and that therefore helps decrease our risk of heart attack. And then the American Cancer Society has said that it has been found to help decrease the risk of a lot of different kinds of cancers. And there was a study that they did find that it did help decrease the risk of skin cancer in particular. So I thought that was a good piece of information as well. And it has been possibly found that it could help or prevent, or it could prevent or help slow down the process of osteoporosis. So us ladies, that's important for us to know. So that is good. Lots of good things about green tea. And so the research has said that maybe swapping out 1 cup of coffee or a soda with a green tea instead has been found to be very beneficial for our health. I see a question here. I hear mixed things about the nutritional value of coffee. It makes me feel better that drink coffee because it must be okay if you drink it. What do you think of coffee from a nutritional perspective? Oh yeah, I know that there is so much conflicting information about coffee, and I have basically since I was 17 or 18, I've been drinking coffee every day. And I think that there are more benefits than downfalls to drinking coffee. So I'm going to do a little bit more research on that. But I know that there's a lot of conflicting information, but I think what they have found, everything that I've read says that the benefits outweigh the downfalls, I guess, of coffee. So it is still a very strong and important part of my day. But green tea has now become part of my afternoon, which has been nice as well. So let me show you all a quick recipe. And both recipes that I did, I made ahead of time because they have some freezing time. But the first recipe is, actually, let's just do both right now because I think we're going to have time. The first recipe I made is called No Churn Matcha Green Tea Ice Cream, which is delicious. And I got this from a blog on relish.com, and the blog is called keviniscooking.com. And it is No Churn Matcha Green Tea Ice Cream. And it only has 5 ingredients: coconut milk, matcha tea powder, dates, hot water, and vanilla extract. And it is so easy to make too. So basically, I'm just going to, I'll do the recipe, then I'll show you the outcome. So basically what you do is you take a can of, it says coconut cream or the full fat coconut milk. So I did the full fat coconut milk because that's what we had. You put it in the refrigerator overnight. And then the next morning when you make it, or whenever you make it, I pulled it out and I did the recipe right away, but I think it would have been better if I took it out like an hour before. So I recommend that. Do you recommend a cup of green tea after a meal or any time of day? I like it. I usually have it after a meal because I feel sometimes like I can't really drink it on an empty stomach. But I think it is good. I always have it after lunch, but it is good after any meal, unless you're affected by caffeine. Then I would say maybe not at night, or maybe not in the late afternoon if that's if caffeine affects you easily. But I think it's nice as an after meal thing too. Thanks for asking, Myra. So yes, green tea is good. And okay, so green tea ice cream, then you take, so pull it out of the fridge, then you can get all the other stuff ready. So you take dates, pitted dates. I used 3, and a little bit of hot water. Put it in the blender or in a food processor, so you make a paste. And then you put a bowl and beaters in the freezer. Start beating the. Here's the ice cream recipe. Oh, thanks, Lisa. So then you beat the coconut milk. And then I'm going to just show you a teaser just so you can see it. Coconut milk, and then you add, this is the ice cream. It's kind of hard to see. It kind of looks like a quick bread, but this is ice cream. Coconut cream, beat it until it's nice and smooth. Then you add the date paste that you made, matcha tea powder, and vanilla extract. And then I found that it wasn't quite as smooth as I wanted it to be, so I put it in the blender too. And then you pour it in a loaf pan like this, and then you put it in the freezer, and that's it. And then you can just take the ice cream scooper. Then you got a quick dessert. It's dairy-free and actually pretty darn healthy. And then the other recipe that I did, which is just really delicious, this is called chocolate matcha coconut cups, and this is from foodandwine.com. And I want to show you the outcome of these because they are so good. Here, let me just take them out of here. They're like peanut butter cups, but it's chocolate with matcha and coconut cream in the middle. So I'll do a quick demo. You take chocolate, 70% cocoa or less, and you put it over a double boiler, which I don't have double boilers, so I took this pan, or this pot that my parents gave to me when I went to college, and you boil water in it. I put water up to here, about here, and then you take an oven, or a heat-proof bowl, and I filled that with chocolate, 70% cocoa, and then you just heat it over the boiling water so that it melts the chocolate really nice and smoothly. And then what you do is you're supposed to use mini muffin tins with little mini muffin cup papers, but I didn't have either of those. Okay. Oh, thanks, Lisa, for the pros and cons of coffee consumption. Yes, I want to read that because I don't want that to be out of my life. So what I did instead, because I didn't have the small little muffin cups, I have these little bowls. I got these when I visited my best friend Amanda in New York one year at Fish's Eddy, and I use them all the time. They're really small. And then I took a piece of parchment paper, cut it in a little circle, and put it inside, and it worked out just fine. So if you have something like that rather than the muffin, or if you have the muffin tins, that's even better. So you take this and you spoon a little bit here. Let me just put this right here. Okay, I still want to be able to see you. Okay, and then you spoon this, and then you just spoon a little bit of the chocolate in the bottom, like so. And then you kind of smooth it out so it's flat. And then I did this with several, and then I just put it on a tray and put it in the freezer. And it says to put it in for between 5 and 10 minutes. I did 15 minutes, and 5 to 10 minutes would be better because it had really hardened. But I would say 5 to 10 is better than the 15. And then in the meantime, you take. I did 1/4 of a cup of coconut oil. It said coconut butter, but I had coconut oil, so I did that. And then I did a teaspoon of matcha powder, which we talked about earlier, and a tablespoon of maple syrup. The recipe called for honey, but I kind of prefer the taste of maple syrup in a dish like this. And then you mix all of that together, and it forms this like really nice green tea paste. I don't know if you can see it very well, but it's very green. And then you spoon this on top of the chocolate that has been freezing for 5 to 10 minutes. And you spoon just a little bit on top of that, and then you spoon more chocolate on top of that. Then you sprinkle a little bit of salt on top. And I'm going to cut one in half and just show you what it looks like on the inside because they're so pretty. And it's such a nice treat. And you're getting chocolate, you're getting the matcha tea. So this is just loaded with antioxidants. Okay, this one. Oh yeah, I guess I didn't put a whole lot of green tea filling in this, but you can kind of see the filling. But they are so good. So that's a nice healthy recipe. All right, let's move on to wine. I did pour myself some wine. Some red wine. So cheers, everybody. So red wine. This also has the polyphenols in it, but it has a different one that's really high, and that's called resveratrol. And it does have some of the flavonoids in it too, but the resveratrol is the one that is kind of higher in red wine. And this is also an antioxidant, which we know we love. So the things that I found that it listed as being good for us in the red wine is that it may help protect the lining of our blood vessels in our heart. It's kind of like we talked about with the green tea. So we want everything running quickly and smoothly and strongly through our heart. And we don't want all of that extra plaque in there. So we want the antioxidants to help, move things through our bodies easily. So it also has been found to maybe help decrease LDL, which is the bad cholesterol. And we like that as well, like we talked about before, because that helps. The LDL contributes to the arteries getting clogged, and if it's decreased, then everything can flow a little bit better in our heart and in our body, and things are doing well. And it also may help decrease blood clots in our body, which is also a very good thing. So there are a lot of mixed studies, but there have been enough that have said it's good. But we also want to, have the wine in moderation, which I'll get to in a little bit. So it decreases blood clots, and and kind of in line with the whole LDL component, it may prevent artery damage from high LDLs because it helps decrease the LDL. And and then I read a study that people with type 2 diabetes consumed a moderate amount, I'm not sure what the amount was, of red wine, and it increased their HDL by 2 milligrams per deciliter, which HDL is the good cholesterol, and that's pretty significant. So that was good, promising news. And then another study found that it decreased the risk of lung cancer in people with COPD, the chronic obstructive pulmonary disease. So that was a good thing as well. So moderation. I did read also that the American Heart Association does say that if you don't drink, then you shouldn't take it up. But if you do have wine in your daily life, then having it in moderation is a good thing. And for women, it's 1 drink a day, which is 5 ounces of red wine. And for men, it's 10 ounces of red wine per day, which I still think is totally unfair, but I get it. So those are the benefits of the red wine. And let's see what else. I did find some other research that some other food items or food groups that also are high in the catechins, which we found in the green tea and in the dark chocolate. Berries, particularly blackberries, are very high. I see a question coming in. Let me see. How does red wine differ from white wine health-wise? Well, good question, Emily. I was listening to one talk about that they were saying that there was a study done. I'm going to have to find out what the study was because this was somebody else's information, but they were saying that there was a study done in France where they studied people that live in a region that drank red wine and a region that drank mostly white wine, and they found that the people that drank the red wine had lower risk of heart disease than the group that drank the white wine. So I don't know, maybe there were other factors too, like maybe the people that drank the red wine exercised more or ate something different, I don't know, but I thought that was interesting. So I think kind of in terms of what we talked about when we talked about antioxidants, that things that are richer in color have more nutrients, I think that is kind of the component as well. I'll have to find out about the resveratrol if it's higher in red wine than white wine, and I'll get back to you on that, Emily. Good question. So other food items that are high in catechins: berries, blackberries, which is really great for those of us that live in the Northwest because we can just walk outside and eat them in the summer. But we can get them at the grocery too, and you can buy them frozen, which frozen is always a good option, and it still has the same nutritional value as fresh. And then, and then the green tea, the cacao beans, and dark chocolate. So those were the other things on the list. So I guess mostly just the berries was the additional piece of information. So I guess I'll just do a quick review. And then if anybody else can think of any other questions or comments or ideas of things to discuss next week, I am totally interested and would love to hear suggestions of other topics that we can discuss and have recipes for and just talk about in general. So, dark chocolate. When you're having it, 70% cacao. That's the take-home message. And that it is high in catechin and other flavanols and flavonoids that are good for us, that are basically antioxidants, good for our hearts, good for our blood pressure. Eat it in moderation. Green tea, also high in flavonoids, catechins. Those also, green tea helps has been found to help lower our cholesterol, the LDL, which is bad, increase the HDL, which is good, and could maybe help prevent or slow the process of osteoporosis, and has been found to help reduce the risk of cancer. And so the recommendation is like 1 to 2 cups of green tea a day is what I found. I'm sure you could have a little bit more, and that would be good too. But if you tend to have something like me, like I used to have coffee in the afternoon, swap that out with green tea instead. That's a good option. Or use matcha green tea powder in your cooking, like with the chocolate. It's really hard to be able to see it. The chocolate cups. Or matcha green tea coconut no churn ice cream. So good. We will be having that for our dessert tonight, along with some red wine, because I opened a bottle. And then red wine is high in the resveratrol. It's kind of hard to say. And that has also been found to be good for our heart, possibly lowering LDL, possibly increasing HDL, and decreasing the risk of blood clots, and just good for us if we drink it in moderation. 1 glass a day for women, 5 ounces. 2 glasses a day for men, 10 ounces. So let's see what else. And also berries. Berries are also high in catechins, which are good for us. So blackberries are the highest, but blueberries, raspberries, those are also really good options, and good options to put in smoothies or eat plain. My son and I had blueberries for a snack this afternoon, and it's always kind of satisfying that that you can have lots of bites of blueberries when you have a bowl of blueberries. So that is about all I have for us today, and I really appreciate everybody tuning in to the show. I'll be here again next Monday at 4 o'clock talking nutrition, and I'll have another topic. And tune in to Relish channel tomorrow, 4 o'clock. We're here Monday through Friday, 4 to 4:30 Pacific time. And it's really been great having you all here. Thanks for all the questions and the comments. And thank you, Lisa, for putting the links in. I'm going to check out that article about coffee. And have a great rest of your evening. And I'll see you all next time.